Welcome back into Game Night here on 96.5 ESPN, the sports voice of West Tennessee, alongside Greg Ham and Chris Harris with you on Game Night here on 96.5 ESPN. Girls Region basketball action will be following throughout the night tonight. And a gentleman who knows the landscape of high school basketball on the ladies' side as well as anybody, Coach Kevin McMillan, the head basketball coach of the UT Martin Lady Skyhawks, who are 19-7 and the number 14 team in the country when it comes to scoring. Coach, welcome in, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be with you.
Coach McMillan, I'm going to put an ad in the paper, and it's going to be for a job description, getting a guard for when Heather Butler graduates. What would that job description entail? Help us out.
It's going to cost you about $10,000 to take out that ad, because it's probably going to take up about 6 pages.
Okay.
To say what all we're going to try to replace with when we lose Heather Butler and Jasmine Newsom. Just phenomenal what those kids have done for our program and the Ohio Valley Conference and our university. I mean, the records that they've set, NCAA records, OVC records, UT Martin records. I mean, it's amazing what those 2 little bitty guards have been able to accomplish.
Of course, the guards can get you there, but when you go to the OVC tournament or make the big dance like you have in the past, the big question at that point is post-play. How have the post players developed for you, Coach, this year?
Well, Asia Jones from Covington, a freshman post player, has come along a lot faster than we expected. She's averaging about in the conference. She's averaging about 17 or 18 points a game and getting about 7 or 8 rebounds. And what that's done is taken a lot of pressure off of all of the guards. We need some more depth there and some more help. But she has definitely been a breath of fresh air for us. And we've got some other post players that can do it, but they just haven't quite progressed as fast as she has. But you're absolutely right. Once you get in the tournaments, it is all about guard play, but then it's also all about rebounding. And if you don't have some kids in there that can mix it up, you're going to be you're not going to be alive in the tournament very long.
Can you give us your early observations about your new boss, the AD Julio Freire?
I tell you, he's a mover and a shaker. He's got great ideas. He's in the process of kind of feeling everything out and getting a handle on everything. But he's been in all different parts of athletics, and it's come to us at a great time. Phil Dane has been our athletic director for I think 13 years, and has just made so many adjustments to a lot of the programs. A lot of new facilities have gone up. A lot of strides in our athletic department, and with his retirement, we've brought in Julio, who is looking at things from a new perspective, and really, really has some great ideas, and is willing to go above and beyond to do whatever it takes to put us all on another level. So, a very exciting time at UT Martin.
Greg Hammond, Chris Harris, joined by Kevin McMillan, the head coach of the UT Martin women's basketball team. Coach, Chris and I were looking at the stats, preparing for the interview, and one thing that jumped out at us is this late loss against SIUE Edwardsville. Talk about that hiccup, and then talk about what your ladies need to do down the stretch as you prepare for the OVC tournament and a possible bid to the big dance.
Well, you don't ever like to make excuses for losses. That in 25 years, I've never missed a game for sickness, and that was the one. I had the flu and didn't make the trip, and didn't find out until that morning, literally. So there was really no time to prepare everybody any more than normal. Everybody's kind of got their own roles, and that threw our coaching staff a little curve. We were also missing a starter. Shay Cross was at a funeral of her great-grandmother, and then we had 2 other starters who were nursing leg injuries and were not full strength. Add to that we shoot 5 for 32 from 3, and with that we still have Heather Butler on the free throw line in the last minute of the game with a chance to win it, and she missed 2 free throws, which I don't know. I've coached her since she was a freshman in high school, and I don't know that she's ever missed 2 in a row. And So I think it was kind of a perfect storm of things. And again, we don't like to make excuses, but I think our kids have rebounded from that game and had a little different sense of urgency about them. But, we'll find out against Murray tomorrow if we can keep that rolling.
We were talking about some teams in high school that have taken some late losses, or some teams that are undefeated going into the tournaments. You got Union City, Lady Tornadoes are undefeated right now. Taking a loss like that, and while you guys, I know, weren't undefeated, but you were on a pretty sizable winning streak, can you learn more from taking a loss late in the season than you can maybe playing poorly in a win?
Well, I think it depends on the maturity of your team and the leadership. We're an extremely, even though we've got the two seniors that start and everybody talks about them, we're an extremely young team. We're playing two seniors, a junior, and starting two freshmen, and then the first two off the bench or the first three off the bench are freshmen and sophomores. So with a young team like that, usually you learn more from a loss than you do playing poorly in a win, because if they win, they kind of think, that's no big deal. And so I think maybe they may have learned more from that loss. Again,
sure,
we'll all know at the end of the year when we look back and kind of analyze it all, but you want to be playing your best basketball going down this late stretch, and you want to be fresh and rested and healthy and kind of focused, and maybe that loss has kind of helped us all out.
Coach Kevin McMillan joining us, the head coach of the Lady Skyhawks at UT Martin, and I know how much you love the high school game around here. Are you heading out to a game tonight, and what's your thoughts on the high school landscape right now?
This is just the exciting time of year. People have always asked me about what you liked or didn't like, or what's better about high school or whatever. And this time of year, there's nothing like. Really, this is a good first round region game. That's great, but probably the most stressful night in high school, and probably the most exciting, will be Monday and Tuesday when the region semifinals hit. It's just, there's nothing better. Crowds are going to be unbelievable, and so this is the setup night for that. And there's just, there's nothing like a region semi or a region game in those high school tournaments. That there's so much at stake for those communities that are represented, and we'll always love the high school games at this time of year. I am probably going out tonight. It depends on what my son and daughter tell me they're going to do. We've already sent a couple out that are going to be out tonight. I will be out Monday and probably Tuesday next week. It is a big time for us to go out and watch, because you kind of get to see how kids are going to respond.
Sure.
In when the games are, and everything means so much more. So wonderful time for girls basketball, for high school basketball in Tennessee.
You've been able to lock down pretty much a lot of the West Tennessee and a lot of great players around the state of Tennessee on your roster. How is the state of girls basketball in the state of Tennessee right now in your mind?
Well, it's in a it's always changing. One year you'll see the talent level in this area is better than this area, and then the next one it's this over that. But traditionally, year in and year out, Tennessee's got great high school basketball. We've got some really good teams right now in West Tennessee. The best class that I've ever seen was the senior class that we have right now come through in West Tennessee. That's the best there were like 15 players that went Division I out of that one class, and we haven't seen that in the last 2 or 3 years. But what I'm seeing right now, as I go around and watch a lot of teams play, is there's going to be another group of seniors and juniors that sign coming out, and then the freshman and sophomore classes seem to be very, very loaded. So there's a lot of talent coming up. So I think the state of affairs in West Tennessee is very strong. There's some really good players out there. I think Memphis is a little bit down this year, but Middle Tennessee is up. The Murfreesboro area is probably the best that it's ever been. So, Tennessee girls basketball, what Pat Summitt has done and making it a big deal in this state. There's a big difference when we're out recruiting and you see a Tennessee girl versus just about any other state, because the Tennessee girls basketball means something. It means something to the fans, to the communities, and these girls grow up with that, knowing that, and wanting to feed into that, and that's That's one of the reasons we've been able to be successful.
Coach, I want to ask you a question. Let's say if we had a crystal ball 4 years ago, would some of the bigger schools have passed on Heather Butler, knowing the production she was going to put out? Would they have still passed on her because she's 5'5"?
Not now. They wouldn't, because I have a lot of funny stories about that, because I was pushing for Heather to, I was helping her get recruited when she was a junior because I was coaching her, and I called Western Kentucky, I called Vanderbilt, I called Florida, and all of them basically were like, "No, we don't have no interest." And I have since, I'm good friends with all of those coaches, and I have since talked to them, and they all say that it's one of the biggest regrets that they have is that they didn't take this kid. But she's uncommon. I mean, there's just not that many 5'5" guards in the NCAA that can do what she's done, and you wouldn't expect that until you got to know her. But no, we couldn't get Heather today if she was a senior in high school and putting up, because she has done what she's done and opened so many eyes.
My last question for you, Coach, and it concerns recruiting. It's not a specific question, so pass on it if you want to, but I want to ask you this just based on your perspective. Chris and I have been talking about high school basketball the last 4 or 5 weeks, talking about recruiting. We read the Jackson Sun, and Brandon Shields keeps up with some of the guys from West Tennessee who have gone on to places outside of West Tennessee. You look at A.J. Merriweather, who was at Southside. He's a freshman, but he's like the third leading scorer at ETSU. There's a Kendall Ethany kid who was at Liberty. He's a star at Richmond now. Is it harder to get a boys basketball player to stay at home and play for a local school than it is to recruit a girl? So can you answer that question?
That's a great question, and it's something that we've actually talked about, and I've talked about with our men's staff. It is easier to recruit a girl to rural West Tennessee than it is a guy. And the reason is that the girls have a different mindset about recruiting than the guys do. And this is not every single case. This is in general. It's not every single time. A girl doesn't care near as much about the bright lights, the big city, as she does the relationship that she has with the coach and the team. She's a lot more concerned with what is the support she's going to get, what's her degree going to be, how good is this program at the school. The guys are a lot more concerned with how good the team is. No offense to the guys, I was a guy that played college basketball, or I guess I am a guy that played college basketball. But the guys, tend to look at where the school is, what's the name on the jersey, how can I get seen from this, and they perceive the bigger city to be the bigger draw. And what I think that they're missing is, in this day and age, there's no chance that you're not going to be seen.
Right.
If I were a guy now coming up, or even that for that matter, if I'm one of the top 50 recruits in the country in women, I'd go to UT Martin. I mean, why would you not? You're going to be seen on ESPN. You're going to get with the internet, with all the streaming. You're going to be seen. So why not go to a smaller school where you could probably have a bigger splash? If a kid, and I'm not saying that you go be the superstar, but if you had 3 of the top kids go to UT Martin, top guys, and they make a run to the Sweet 16, compare that story than if they'd gone to Memphis and gone to the Sweet 16. Which one would you guys want to be talking about? UT Martin in the Sweet 16 or Memphis in the Sweet 16?
The Cinderella. Oh, well, Chris is biased, Coach. You can't ask Chris Harris that question.
I'm a Tiger guy, so of course.
Well, even if you being a Tiger guy, they would force you to put the UT Martin Cinderella up in the forefront.
Coach, I would love to see UT Martin in the Sweet 16.
What?
I would love to see UT Martin in the Sweet 16.
Oh, listen. I mean, but if I were and I don't, but I don't get it. With as technologically advanced, my daughter that's 4 years old can navigate stuff better than I can.
Well, we were talking with Coach Jason James, and I mean, you flip on, you get the sports tier on your cable package, and you get Fox Sports Atlantic, Fox Sports Mid-Atlantic, Fox Sports. I mean, every game is on TV now.
Yes, and So my point, if those kids know, if they're that technologically savvy, which we know they are, then how come they're so naive to think that they can't go to a mid-major and make a bigger splash? I don't get. There's a disconnect somewhere that I'm not seeing from the guys. Now the girls is a little different because they just look at it a little different. But the basic answer to your question is yes. It's easier for me to recruit a girl to UT Martin than it would be a guy.
Coach Kevin McMillan, great insight
It is, yeah.
on Friday game night.